it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your July 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for all your support, feedback, and comments, and your likes, shares, and subscribes. And thank you to all of my clients out there as well for keeping me so busy with personal readings. Always an honor and a pleasure to read for all of you. Thank you. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more info and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button there, or by clicking on the description bar of all the videos I post. Turnaround time is pretty fast because I do readings 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do exclusively. So I can usually get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact with more information. So feel free to contact me at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, including 6 and 12-month overviews as a look ahead and channeled messages. So email me if you're interested and we'll go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy, and that link is also provided. All right, let's move into this. This reading is for the fire sign of Sagittarius for the remainder of July 2018. So we're looking at the last couple of weeks here. If you know your rising and moon sign, watch those as well. They can provide additional clarification because in general readings there's a lot of you watching, so the details and specifics and intensity will likely vary, but the energy and advice fundamentally remains the same. Okay, Sagittarius, let's see what's in store for you for the remainder of July 2018. Sagittarius. Okay, we have the Eight of Wands, followed by the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Swords, followed by the Two of Cups, and from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and advice is the Five of Wands. Okay. Okay, Sagittarius. So, Sagittarius, it looks like for the last half of July 2018, time always being fluid, as I always say, it can go a little bit either direction. It looks like there's some conflict going on with someone in your sphere, in your environment. Some of you, it might be a group of people, and for some of you this could be for some of you this could be it's somebody or a situation that you're very connected to because there's a karmic link between you and this other person or you and this situation, because we do have the Two of Cups, the soulmate card here. And in personal relationships, when I talk about soulmates, this doesn't necessarily mean a romantic soulmate. It can be love and romance. It can also be a best friend, a closely connected family member, a child or a young adult or adult child even. For some of you, this may be with someone at work or a group of people at work too. So there's this conflict kind of going around. That's your overall energy for the last half of July. Your crowning card is the Five of Wands, which is a card that speaks of conflict, internal, external conflict, and most conflict usually is a combination of both, whether it begins inside or affects our insides as well. But this is a card about kind of petty conflict and petty squabbles. You can see that the people in this circle are sparring with each other. They're not out for blood. They're not using real weapons. They're using practice weapons. They're sparring. It can also mean a sense of competition as well. But it's circular. Nobody wins, nobody loses, but there's no clear answer, solution, or resolution either because nobody's willing to compromise, negotiate, or give or take an inch. So conflict. It can mean petty squabbles, fighting over the same thing over and over again. It can sometimes represent within a circle of friends or work environment. It can represent, you know, gossiping, rumor mongering, that sort of thing. But it's petty in nature. I always get this kind of sense of barracudas kind of biting at people when I see that card. So, and the advice that accompanies the Five of Wands is to pay attention to the fact that it's petty squabbling. One of the best ways to overcome this is to actually you be the one to kind of elevate yourself a bit and go, okay, what we're fighting about is petty or this endless, conflict or confrontation. So what is the important thing here? What would be the best that we could hope to achieve? And kind of allow the little things to kind of fall along the way. Sometimes the Five of Wands can be getting caught up in an argument about, little things or things that don't matter as much, and ignoring actually like what the point is, what the priority is, what's the most important thing here is, and letting the rest of the stuff fall away, and being the one to kind of elevate and take the higher road and go, okay, let's try to come together on this if we can. Conversation and communication is going to be really important for the last half of July, and you're going to need to pay careful attention to your words, your ideas, and how they affect what kind of comes out of your mouth in your conversations with other people. We have the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Swords. So the Eight of Wands is a card of communication, conversations, communication, and in the technologically driven world we live in today, this can be phone, email, text, Skype, you name it. Conversations going back and forth quite furiously, messages coming in, or messages that you're waiting for. And it's clarified and accompanied by the Knight of Swords. Knights are usually the deliverers, the bringers of the tarot. So they usually represent something being brought to you, an offer, an opportunity, something coming in, or that you're extending outwards to somebody else. Swords is air energy. It's mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. That's the element which governs this suit. And in the tarot, that's about our words and our ideas, what we think about things, how we look at things, what our belief systems are, because that directly affects the way that we communicate and relate with the world and people in the world outside of us. So it's all about what goes on up in our heads: truth, illumination, clarity. So the Knight of Swords represents the bringing of information, news, and because it clarifies the Eight of Wands, it's conversation. So there's communication going back and forth between you and this other person, or you and this group of people. Sometimes the Knight of Swords is called the inconvenient truth card, because Swords is mental energy, it's not emotional. So the Knight of Swords can sometimes deliver information in a way that may feel kind of difficult to take, very direct, very to the point. This is the truth, this is the reality, and sometimes it can come across as being devoid of emotion or compassion. It's not necessarily the case, it's just but the Knight of Swords isn't always concerned about how he presents the information or news or messages that he's bringing. So another cautionary advice to kind of be careful of your presentation, be careful of how you're communicating and conversing with people in the last half of July, particularly a person or a people that you have conflict in, particularly if that conflict's been kind of ongoing around and around and around. In order to be the one that takes the higher road and elevates, and by taking the higher road, I don't mean ignore it or be passive, but I mean going, okay, what's the important thing here? Because we're fighting about all this little stuff. What's really the important thing here, the core issue? And being careful about that, listening to what the other person has to say. You don't have to agree with what they're thinking, saying, feeling, but one of the best ways to communicate effectively with somebody else, particularly in a conflictive situation, is by listening to them and then saying things that make them feel like you've heard what they say before you follow it up with what you want, to your opinions, because it kind of dampens the fire initially a bit and kind of you're wanting to build a bridge of communication between the other person. So be careful with conversations, listen, make the other person feel like you acknowledge what they're saying. You don't have to agree with it, just acknowledge it, because that kind of initially helps with this conflictive communication. Now next to that we have the Ace of Swords and the Two of Cups. So aces represent the number one. They always represent a new beginning, the start of a new path, or an opportunity which has a lot of potential if it's nurtured and taken care of. Because aces are like seeds. They contain a lot of potential, but they have to be planted at the right time and nurtured and taken care of. So this is the Ace of Swords. So this could be new ideas, new thoughts, a new perspective, your epiphany, your awareness kind of coming in, new ideas, a new way of looking at something or seeing something, and perhaps a new idea on how to deal with this. Now it's clarified by the Two of Cups. So cups is water energy. And in the tarot, the element of water which governs cups is emotional energy. So it's about emotions and feelings and our relationships as well. The Two of Cups is traditionally considered the soulmate card, as you can see on this beautiful artwork here. It can represent a karmic soulmate connection, a karmic link, This can be love and romance, best friends. In work and career, this can represent a job or a job environment that's really good for you in more than just obvious ways. Like in work, it can represent a job that's good for you in more than just finances or more in career path stability. You know, you like the work, you like the people you work with, etc. It fundamentally represents a really great match, a really great union with you and a situation or you and another person. It can sometimes represent best friends that evolve into something else. But again, it doesn't have to be romance related. And this doesn't necessarily need to be in the love and romance area of your life either. I think for some of you, it's definitely someone that you have a karmic connection with, or a situation you have a karmic connection with, meaning that both of you have the opportunity to learn something which will help you evolve and grow. So there's new ideas coming in, a new perspective, a new way of looking at this situation, particularly with a specific person, I feel, regardless of the nature of your relationship to that person. It is karmic. And I feel like the outcome can be really good here, Sagittarius. I feel like I'm getting... What I feel is that you are more influential in this conflict than you may realize, meaning that you have the power to kind of influence it one way or the other. You can carry it on, or you can be the one to kind of step up and go, listen, let me hear what you're saying, and let's see if we can compromise and negotiate and come to a meeting of the mind so we can find a resolution and end to this conflict in a way that benefits everybody or benefits both of us here. And in order to do that, you're going to have to let go of some of the things that you've been attached to, maybe that are not as really that important when you take a step back and look at the big picture. And again, be very careful with how you speak and in listening to the other person. That's the advice here, and taking that advice can really change the outcome of this. So let me see. I mean, if you don't have to, as I always say, we live in a free will zone. You definitely can keep this going on, but you are quite influential in this conflict. So let me see what the mindful outcome is, meaning how can the outcome of this be affected by you if you take Spirit's advice? Okay, we have the Four of Wands. This is perfect. So the mindful outcome, if you take Spirit's advice about listening, hearing, letting go of some of the little petty things, making the other person or people feel like they're listened to, and, you know, trying to compromise and negotiate and find a way to end this conflict. The mindful outcome is the Four of Wands, which is the happy surprise card. This is a card that often comes up when it represents things working out in a way that you couldn't imagine, in a way better than you anticipate. There's a sense of an unexpectedness to it, you know, things working out better than you anticipate because something happens that surprises you. And it could be, again, the mindful outcome from taking Spirit's advice. You may, by making the other person feel heard, or people feeling heard and listening to them and kind of allowing them to and letting them know that you're hearing what you're saying and being kind of honest. Look, this is what I really care about. This is what really my feelings are, not all this little stuff we're fighting about. This is how I really feel underneath all of this. I think some really surprising things can happen. This is the happy surprise and unexpected blessing card. It's also one of the happy homes celebratory energy cards, and it's a card of, as you can see from the picture in here, happy families or people that you really care about, reminding us that to reconnect with the simple joy and gratitude of the people in our lives that we often take for granted, friends and family that we care very much about, unexpected blessings as well. So that's the mindful outcome. Beautiful, beautiful reading. Remember that you're powerful in this, Sagittarius, so use that power and that influence wisely here, particularly in conversations and communications and listening for the last half of July 2018. So Sagittarius, that pretty much wraps up your July 2018 mid-month readings. Thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed it or found it useful. Maybe you got, you know, a bit of insight and guidance, because that's why we do these readings. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal, tailored just for you one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more information and my contact details by clicking on the little About button you'll find on my YouTube channel's homepage or the description bar of the videos I post. Feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be most happy to work with you. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy for fast fast answers to the quick, easy questions as well. And you can also find me on PayPal under my email address for those of you who care to donate any amount in support of my channel, which enables me to, purchase new cards and equipment and upgrade and all of that, anywhere from $1 on up. And I'm so very grateful and thank you for those of you who have and continue to donate so generously. Thank you very much. So Sagittarius, I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the August 2018 general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. And I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.